Good evening, everyone. I hope you all have logged in for the webinar. The model what we are going to discuss today is about the lean supply chain model. My name is Amit Pandey, and I head the procurement, supply chain, human resource, as well as administration in Tikona Digital Networks Private Limited. We are purely a broadband company. We provide the data services, and it's a telecom organization. So I'll just run through with with my presentation over here, and I would request all of you to, in case if you have any doubt in terms of the question or something, you can just write it, or you can just you can just see that what exactly can happen in terms of the overall as a part of the presentation. You can just type your questions and post my presentation. I'll just try to answer the questions whatever you're getting. Okay, so starting with that, so it's a lead supply chain model. It's a case study. I'm just going to present a bit of a case study what we have implemented in Tikona, and that is what I'm just going to share with you. So before we start, I would just like to understand. Say for example, if you can, ask yourself a very simple question: do you think supply chain is a support function? So many times we have seen, especially in a service sector, that supply chain and procurement seems to be a very supportive function rather than a business-like function. So to get on that, let's try to understand that what exactly the Lean Six Sigma concept of the CPOC works. The CPOC means the supplier input, process, output, and customer. So this is how if you see the material flow which happens to downstream customer, and in the reverse way, the information flow happens from COPIS, that is customer output, process input, and supply. So if you see, this is what the main business line. In this entire business line, if you try to understand the kind of the function what we people are doing as a part of a procurement and supply chain professional, if you see, this piece is basically talking about the sourcing and procurement when we are managing the input from the suppliers, getting all the product as well as services to get in our system, get it processed, and then the output and reaches to the customer. This is how the warehousing and logistics, the function comes into the picture. Supplier relationship management as well as asset management. So if you see overall, even from customer to supplier, there is an entire reverse supply chain flow also happens, which commonly we all know as a part of a reverse logistics. So eventually, if we see that procurement and supply chain is a primary function, it's a primary business function and not at all a support function for any organization. So to start the presentation, I'll touch a bit upon the telecom industry, which is an overview about a little bit about Indian telecom industry. Tikona as an organization, because we need to understand what exactly Tikona does in India in terms of the broadband service provider. Well, how's our procurement and supply chain model in Tikona? What are the challenges we are facing, we used to face before we launched this solution model called Lean model? Lean procurement and supply chain model of Tikona, that how we have implemented the Lean procurement supply chain model. Few of the result analysis, I'll try to share some of the data points, not many, but few of the data points, and then few motivation, what exactly happened because of this Lean model which has been launched. So coming back to the telecom industry, we all have seen, especially I think my friends who are from India, they might be knowing that the voice market in India we have seen in telecom industry growth like anything. Voice growth market has happened like from 9 million subscriber to 900 million subscriber in just 9 years. While we are seeing that data growth is still not happening the way it could happen in India. So if we see this chart, which is showing that the data growth is going to be there with 55% of CAGR, which we have seen in the last decade from 60% of CAGR for the voice. The reason for that is because there is a very low internet penetration in terms of India compared to other countries. If you see this graph, the reason why the data growth is going to happen is because the internet-enabled devices, which is what we call is that the smartphone, are going to be shipped in multifold numbers. And this is how the 34% CAGR, the shipment of the smartphone is actually getting shipped. And now we can see that everybody is actually moving from feature phone to smartphone. I, I'm sure everybody, all of us must be using their smartphone. Secondly, if you see that the data as a percentage of the total telecom revenue across Asia. So if you see Japan somewhere is closer to now 50%. This is a little old data. And if you see India, India is somewhere around 13 to 14% now. So there is a huge gap between the data in terms of the revenue model of the data versus the voice. The next slide, this is something which is very interesting for all the people who are the users as well as who are the part of the telecom industry. If you see this blue graph, blue bar, the blue bar is showing that there is a very nominal growth in next 10 to 15 years in terms of the voice revenue. While if we see the red line, red bar, there is a growth which is happening exponentially. And if you see somewhere in between 2026, the data growth is actually matching with the voice growth. And by 2027, data growth or data revenue is going to exceed the voice market. So this is where, so it will take another, say, 10 years, 11 years for data to come into 50% of the voice growth. The reason for this growth is that we have around 865 million mobile subscribers, 150 TV households, and the best part is that we have a 50% population in India, which is 24 years, less than 24 years. So this is something which is unique in a country like India, that you have a very young population, and this young population will actually result into such kind of a data growth. Coming back to the Ticona as a company, as an organization, an overview about that. So Ticona is basically a data-focused company. We have around 40 to 43,000 base stations across 25 cities. We have around 3,500 employees. We have also created a lowest network cost structure. We have largest aggregation of urban backhaul. Currently, we have around 300,000 plus home subscribers. So these are purely the retail home subscribers who use the broadband, and 10,000 SME customers and 1,000 corporate customers. We have also acquired a company from HCL Infinite, and it's a company now known as Ticona Infinite, which is basically providing the B2B services to all the offices and all the lease line broadband connectivity what we provide to the offices. We have also acquired the 4G BWA license in highly populated 5 circles of India. So 5 circles of India means that 5 provinces of India, states of India. If you see how it's a new organization, it's just a startup organization. Around 7 years back, we started this organization. And if you see how the revenue growth is happening, is around 30% CAGR. The best part what is happening is that in India, the data consumption is happening in a pretty fast way. If you see what has happened from last 3-4 years, the data consumption per consumer at home has increased from 8 GB per consumption, 8 GB consumption of data per month to now 22 GB per month, which is really very, very large. If you see currently in India, the 3G consumption is somewhere around 1 GB or 1.5 GB. So compared to the mobility data consumption, this is the power of the home broadband. People normally use a lot of data when they are inside the home. And this is how the bandwidth consumption has gone down, the churn has gone down. This is what we were talking about, that the next big game which is coming in India is the 4G. Across the globe, we might be seeing that there is a 4G technology which has been implemented across the globe. And soon it is going to be launched in India also. We have seen few of the operator, they have already launched the 4G technology. It's a high broadband technology, which is basically based on a TDD LTE model for 2300 spectrum, what we are currently having in India. So we at Ticona has 29% of the total population. We have 5 circles, which is like Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh, UP East, and Gujarat. These 5 circles currently contribute to around 29% population of India, and they also contribute around 23% of current telecom revenue. There are few awards what Ticona has won, 3 most prestigious awards. Economic Times Telecom Award 2013 in the category of Innovative Product Broadband, 2013 Red Herring Top 100 Asia Award, Emerging Company of the Year Award we got in year 2012, Voice and Data Leadership Award. So coming back to our own function, our procurement and supply chain, and that is what we are passionate about, and that is what we are looking forward. So if you see, before we started this model of the lean supply chain, this is story we are talking about, that what used to be around 4.5 years back, 5 years back. So there was a distributed model of the procurement, which is called basically the user-driven model. So all these category of the expenses are basically the OPEX category of expenses. All these category of expenses used to be driven by the concerned user. And procurement team majorly were looking after only the capex material buying, which is a capital expenditure items for the network equipments related. So it's basically it's only 7% of the spend management what procurement team used to handle. Also, if you used to see that there was a very high cash to cash cycle. Cash to cash cycle is because there was a payment advance payment model was with the suppliers, and from warehouse to the channel partners to installation and then to customers and then coming back from revenue. So if you see that this is where the point we used to pay to the customer suppliers, and this is the point where we used to get the money from the customer. So it was somewhere around 4 to 6 months or 4 to 5 months of the cycle. The reason for this high C2C cycle was higher inventory, multi-channel partners inventory, and the payment terms, which was advance or against delivery. So what we normally understand that in a very complex model of anything which is related to telecom, what are the supply chain challenges we found out? So they were like it's a multi-in, multi-out model. So there are multiple suppliers who used to supply to multiple warehouses, and all these multiple warehouses used to give to multiple ISPs and channel partners, and then they go to the site to deploy the equipment. We are purely into the services, so there is no sales of goods. So till end point, we need to manage our asset. Complete in-house model. It was complex logistics management, complicated city-wise forecasting and planning, because every city the forecasting and planning of the sales is different. Only ERP support used to be Oracle 11i, no web-based application, no WMS, mostly Excel-driven technology, very high level of inventory, low focus area of procurement and system. This is what basically when we treat more as a part of our supply chain as a support function. Also, if you see from the supplier viewpoint, it was a very conventional approach by the supplier. So these were the multiple challenges, but we converted those challenges into opportunities. So all these challenges converted into opportunities, and we tried to find out what is the solution. So this is how the theme of this entire webinar is coming into the picture. So the solution is called the lean supply chain model, a lean model. We all understand a lean, we might have heard about the lean model. So if we just go back about a bit of the history that how this lean has actually started and implemented. So there was an automotive company which has established in 1937, 1938, the production started. 1950 was the time when this company was facing a lot of financial crisis. It was actually on the edge of bankruptcy. Okay, hard to believe, but this company was Toyota. This was a time when three gentlemen of the Toyota, Kaichiro Toyoda-san, Taichi Ono-san, and Shigeo Shindo-san. These three gentlemen of Toyota had gone to the Ford Michigan factory in USA. They wanted to understand, because that time Ford was the world's largest automotive company, and they wanted to understand that what Ford does and what we are not able to do. But somehow their findings were not very impressed. They were not very impressive by these gentlemen, because they have seen there was a very high level of raw material and parts inventory, high level of in-process inventory and vendor inventory, very high level of cycle time to produce one vehicle. They used to produce one vehicle which is like around 17, 18 hours, one car used to be produced. Large amount of rework at the end of the process. So there was a lot of activities which they used to do as a part of a repair and rework. On the next day, these three gentlemen actually were shopping at a supermart. The supermart was very well known supermart in the United States, in Michigan, called as Piggly Wiggly. Somehow these people got very impressed with the way the Piggly Wiggly was actually managing the stocks. What they have observed is called the stock is being replaced only and the product is brought by the customer. So you might have seen when you go to any retail shop, you buy a Coke, when you take the Coke can, and then there is a replacement which happens. There is also a strong planning for reordering in order to maintain minimum possible stock at the supermarket. We have already seen that how the retail normally manage the just-in-time kind of inventory. So this is how the concept which these three gentlemen has taken from the retail market, retail shop, and then they have implemented just-in-time system in their factory. Later on, they have focused on elimination of waste and process standardization, and finally made the world-known concept of lean manufacturing. So what exactly in the lean manufacturing process, what exactly is the lean SCM? If you see that lean is a philosophy of eliminating non-value added operations, equipment and resources. Anything that does not value is a waste, which does not create the value in our entire process is known as a waste. Waste means muda. So if you see the definition what has been derived is called best quality product or services at lowest possible cost and shortest lead time through improving end-to-end supply chain flow by eliminating muda, that is waste, is called lean SCM. I'm just taking a small diversion from this to make you understand more as a part of that what exactly is the waste and what exactly is the value. There is a very small video which I would just like to share with all of you. Okay, so this is what the video is talking about, that anything which we create as a part of a value for which our customer is ready to pay is called value addition. And anything where the customer is not paying for us is called waste. So that is how what we all need to understand, that whether we have those eyes, we need to build those eyes to see in an entire process what are the activities, what are the things where we can identify that as a waste. So Fujicho, who was basically the president of Toyota at that time, has given a beautiful definition of waste. He said anything other than the minimum amount of equipment, space, and workers' time, which are absolutely essential to add value to the product. That is called waste. So if you see in this definition, there are two kinds of filters which has been used. One is what is minimum amount is required for any process to do. What is minimum amount of equipment, space, and workers' time? After the minimum amount, we also need to have second filtration, which is called absolutely essential. So whether that is required absolutely. So first we need to see minimum, and then whether that is required absolutely or not. So a bit on the lighter side, I don't want to make that this webinar very serious. So I want to see all of you smiling a little bit. So this is for people who know, who are from India. Know this is a gentleman we all know. His name is Adnan Sami. He's a very good singer. He's a very good musician also. He plays a lot of instruments. So if you see, this is what the man photographed around, I think 15 years, 15, 20 years back. And this is what the change photograph. So this is previous and this is now. So just on a lighter side, just for you people to understand the basic fundamental, that muda is unwanted fat and removal of muda is lean. just a core concept or just a simple way to understand rather than getting into too much of complexity that what exactly is the lean process. So Muda is unwanted fat. Anything which is unwanted in your body is a, if you see this figure, there's a lot of unwanted fat. All this fat has been removed is called, the lean. Okay, so removal of waste in the process is starting point of the lean. So there have been 8 types of wastages which has been defined by Toyota in their process, which is basically the overproduction, inventory, over inventory, transportation, excess transportation, defects, because every defect has to be repaired. If there is a lot of defect, you need to do a lot of rework and repair. Over processing, if processing is over, there is a processing which is required, but we are doing anything which is over processing. Motion in terms of the people or equipment moving or walking more than it's required for the processing. Waiting time is also another Buddha waste. The 8th one, which they have actually added, and earlier they have actually defined 7 waste types of waste. The 8th one they have added, which is basically unused human talent. So we all understand in our organization, we see there are a lot of people who are highly productive and highly capable people, but somehow we are not able to utilize them as per their capabilities. So if we are not able to utilize their capability, that is also a kind of waste. So about 8 types of waste are not only for manufacturing. So this is what the normally myth comes from people, that lean can be implemented only when there is a production, there is a manufacturing kind of a setup is there. But it can actually get into any kind of a sector, any kind of a business. So Taichi Ono also said that for a company, the more inventory a company has, the less likely they will have what they need. So any company who's having an excess inventory, they will not be able to achieve what exactly they want to achieve in their business. Another part, if you see that removal of waste is basically the shorter the lead time. And what happens that when you remove the waste in a process, your time to deliver a product or service to your customer is actually shorter. And you take care of the deliveries on time. So if we summarize and try to understand, lean is equal to actually a just-in-time process, continuous flow, pull model, pull system minus Muda. I'm just touching another video which will tell you that in a well-defined process of a lean, where everything is happening in a continuous flow, what happens when a Muda comes? I'm sure it's a little funny video, but I think the concept, the logic, what we all can see on this video is that how a very fast continuous flow process is running, and with that particular process, if there is a small hindrance which comes into the picture, then how this entire process gets collapsed. Okay, so these are tools of Lean. You might have heard about all these elimination of Buddha. I've talked about just in time, Chiduka, Sapinsugi, Kaizen 5S, QC Circle, 5 by Pokayoke, DST PDCA, standardization of the operations, continuous flow, fishbone diagram, pull system, visual management, Sangensugi. All these are basically the tools by which an organization can effectively implement a lean model. These are few are the Japanese word which is called Kaizen 5S and all. And if you see why lean is important, 1990 was the time, it's a very important case study. 1990 was the time when Toyota, Honda, and Nissan went to US. And within 15 years, 2004, if you see the result of 2005, the difference, the Toyota, Honda, and Nissan has actually superseded the entire around 90% of the market share, which in 1990 used to be the 90% market share of the General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler. And this is how you can see that how the profitability of these top three companies, Japanese companies, they have been built. So what has happened after that? It's not the companies in Japan only. There are multiple other companies across the globe who have started implementing the lean as a model in their organizations. So if you see why there is a major difference, what Toyota did, what somehow General Motors could not. If you see all these parameters, this is the differentiation between the two factories. If you see on the last KPI, which is basically the inventory of parts, it's 2 weeks versus 2 hours. So that is what the major change you might be seeing over there. Second thing, you will see that assembly defects per 100 car was around 130. So it is like 1.3 defects per car, while in Toyota it was around 4.45 defects per car. Okay, so this is what a major misconception comes as a part that lean is actually applicable only to the manufacturing and production areas. But actually, it's a popular misconception is that lean only for manufacturing, but this is quite opposite. Lean has application in every business and every process. Lean is not a tactic or a cost reduction program, rather a way of thinking for an organization. This is what the definition has been given by the people of the Lean Enterprise Institute, the founder. So if you try to understand in overall all these things, lean is just a way an organization thinks. So it's just a thinking for an organization. And there are multiple benefits what you get from the lean. So coming back from a lean, let's try to understand the basic fundamental of the Six Sigma. So Six Sigma talks about majorly the quality. So quality talks about the conformance of to the agreed customer specification and requirement right at first time and all the time. So quality talks that we should actually deliver a product or a service error-free without any defect. And here we are not talking about the quality of a product or service only. We're talking about quality of process, manpower, machine, equipment, quality of cost, communication, environment, customer handling, supplier handling, and so on. Anything that we do is just to measure the quality of that activity. So quality of everything results into customer experience. So if we see input, process, output, what we require is that we require all these, that 4M methodologies, man, material, method, machine, get into a process, and finally a product and service gets as an output. A Deming process also defined that says that 85% of the reason for failure to meet customer expectations are related to deficiencies in the system and process rather than the employees. What we normally see in few of the nature of the organization that any problem is happening, we try to see there is a human problem, while it's majorly because of the problem in a system and process. So what the role as a leader or as a people who are supply chain professional and leaders in the organization of any organization per se, to change the process rather than focusing individual to do better. These, I'm sure you people might have heard about these 7 QC tools of Lean Six Sigma, which is Paretogram, cause and effect. This is also called fishbone diagram, graphs and charts, check sheets, histograms, scatter diagram, control charts. So effective way of data analysis to know the actual facts. So if you see the Sigma, why it is called Six Sigma? Sigma is basically to control the variance. How we can control the variance. Now, variance control is actually, if you see the practical meaning of Six Sigma. This is something very interesting slide. So when you talk to somebody and ask that, is 90% good? They say, no, 90% not good. Is 99% good? They say, yeah, of course, it's very good. Now let's see. In a classroom, this is what the achievement has been happening in terms of percent, anything what you can see. These are the different people or different process which has achieved, these are the percentage. Everybody has achieved more than 99%. So a general thought comes that all of them are really very good and there is no difference between one to another. If we convert this entire percentage model into the PPM model, what exactly it happens? If we see, PPM talks about that how much is the problems per million or parts per million is basically a fundamental of the PPM. So if you convert that model into PPM, it gives you that F is much better than H. So you see the difference between F performance and H performance. It is just 400 ppm, while the H performance is 8,800 problems in a million. So ppm analysis gives more clear picture than percentage analysis, but this model is applicable only when you are able to achieve up to 99%. Till 99%, the percentage model works pretty fine, but post 99%, it becomes very difficult to analyze two KPIs between in case 99.45, 99.36 doesn't make a lot of difference. So, for example, what is 99% level? So, 99% level is 1 hour power cut in 5 days, which we normally see, So 1 hour power cut in 5 days is what people are achieving. So the electricity company is actually achieving that 99% level. But what is Six Sigma level? Six Sigma level says 1 hour power cut in 36 years. So in 36 years, if there is a 1 hour power cut, that is what the Six Sigma level is. So ppm is equal to number of failures divided by total number of opportunities multiplied by 10 to the power 6, which is basically the million. So if you see, this is how this sigma chart actually get converted into ppm and percentage failure and percentage achievement. So 6 sigma means 3.4 problems in a million. That is the level of 6 sigma. And another part, if you see in this slide, is that above 99 is 4 sigma, 5 sigma, 6 sigma. 99.3%, 99.97%, 99.9996%. So if you see 99% and above, all three are very good. But if you see on a ppm level, you see there is a huge difference between 3.4 to 6,000. So this is how, if you see that what US industry is having a 15% of sales, while Japan industries achieved around 7% of the sales, as far as the failure is concerned. But how we can achieve Six Sigma level? So there is a thought which people started discussing. Highly educated, intelligent manpower, highly convenient workplace, very high quality of material, equipment, machines, fully automated, controlled software system, very good ITs related systems, like cloud-based system and all those different kind of IT control system. If we have all these, can we achieve Six Sigma? Or we just need a well-controlled, strong quality process. So the answer lies on this last line. If we have a well-controlled, strong quality process, we can actually achieve Six Sigma level. There is a small case study. An Indian company which has been founded in 1980, registered in 1956, 5,000 employees, 400,000 transactions per day. They have a turnover of just 36 crore. They don't have any modern technology. They don't have any technology background. They don't have any dispute level. They don't have qualified people. But their service level is just less than 1 ppm. Even crossing the Six Sigma level. I'm sure you people might be knowing about this company. This is called NMTBSA, Nutan Mumbai Tiffin Box Supplier Association. So there is a very fine case study. If you people want, you can go to. Okay, so this is what the company, and if you see that, this is what the company is all about, and you might have seen that it has been recorded as a best time management. It also has been recorded as a part of a Guinness Book of World Record. It has also been registered as, please believe it or not. So that is what the power of when you have a strong process in place, you can actually achieve the Six Sigma level. Okay, coming back to the lean procurement, lean supply chain model, what we have started doing from a Japanese automotive to Indian telecom. So before we come to the model what we have implemented, let's understand a basic conventional method of cost plus profit is equal to price, where cost is something which is basically an input cost, price is something which is what we sell to the customer. So if you see on focusing on conventional way, normally there is a sales focus happen in all the organization. So what happens, there is a sale which is going up, revenue is getting up. At the same time, the cost is also going up. So what happens, that profitability of an organization is limited because there's a cost also which is increased. Even if you maintain the cost, you can actually increase some of the profitability, keeping the sales, the revenues growing. But the lean model talks about that you keep increasing the revenue and keep decreasing the cost so that you have a better profitability. To get that better profitability, you also help our sales team or the product team to design the cost of the product to the market and to get the competitive advantage in the market. So based on all these themes, Tikona has launched 23rd of November 2009 was the date when we have launched Lean Supply Chain across all the functions: sourcing and contracting, procurement and delivery control, warehousing, transportation, distribution, inventory management. And later on, the same model has been implemented in HR and administration also. So what we did in 5 years, we did around 78 procurement, 72 supply chain, 31 human resource, 21 administration. So total 212 innovative projects under the Lean model. Every small or big project has been done as a part of the you can say lean model. Okay, so what the definition, what we have defined is that entire supply chain process. We have identified the focus areas, what we have started, and this is how we have started implementing different actions. So for sourcing, strategic sourcing, we have implemented 16 ways of sourcing strategy. Out of that, there are tier 2 level. It's an entire automotive zero-based costing model what has been implemented in, in the telecom sector. So if you see, these are the 16 ways of the sourcing strategy, and all the OPEX and CAPEX expense items actually get converted, and we run through with all these 16 sourcing strategies to get the best costing. And this is how the complexity versus saving value what we generate. The saving as well as saving as a potential and complexity. So there are different ways how we define the complexities of any project and what are the savings. Okay, now practicing pull model, that is basically the for faster value chain. So this is how I think we all know that a traditional push model works. When we generate the MRP, we get into PR and get into PO, delivery, receipt, GR, and store, distribution, deployment, capitalization, and asset counting. This is how the push model works. And what the model we started implementing is called Ticona's pull model, which means that every function will actually pull from the other function. So it is means that PO team will pull the PR team will actually run the MRP along with the PO team. The delivery and the warehousing team will pull the material from the supplier. Supplier will pull the purchase order, the MRP slip from the Ticona procurement team. And this is how the entire distribution model happens. So what happens, we have seen that pull model increases the productivity by 150% against push model. So that is the reason why pull model theory is so popular in Lean. If you see proactive approach, what we do is the Ticona warehouse team member actually get connected to multiple people. And 15 members per day need to be connected for smooth coordination. Supplier dispatch, we have converted from weekly to daily. So that has resulted into a per day delivery management and per day dispatch management. If you see the packaging standard in the warehousing, we have also implemented the entire packaging which can be reused and reutilized. Whatever the fresh material packaging is coming, we try to utilize for the reverse supply chain. This is how the reusing of packaging material happens. We have also focused on the entire reverse supply chain model. If you see currently our reverse supply chain volume of the transaction is somewhere around, the ratio is around 40%, 60%. So 40% supply chain, overall supply chain belongs to reverse supply chain. That means huge supply chain is what is required for the reverse supply chain process. If you see, basically the focus on the reverse supply chain is that we have implemented some of the testing equipment at the warehousing and at the ISP material. Okay, few of the communication what we keep working more as a part of the data which we keep sharing with the suppliers on the discrepancies, especially as part of the quantity as well as in case of any document or the quality issues. This is how the communication keeps happening with the suppliers on a different parameters. This is how we handle the contract management, and this is what Lean talks about the visual management. So every warehouses has been designed as a model of the 5S to check what is the daily performance, attendance, and daily performance KPIs, having more and more visual management. This is all few more pictures, which is basically giving a lot of training material, posters, and everything across the warehouses. This is a new model which we have started, is called 4 for the day, which means that every warehouse will be defined as a part that everything they have to do along with their operation management, few 4 activities, on a daily basis. So this is basically the concept what we implemented is called emphasis on idle time use for idle jobs. This is a 15-point KPI monthly performance review which happens across warehouses. And daily performance report card also get generated across warehouses. And these all reports are visual driven with different symbols. You see the green and red mark. And this is how the model has been designed as a part of defining everybody's job responsibilities. So what has happened after doing all such things? If we can talk in length, but let's understand what are the data saying. So even the data speaks. What we believe is that data speaks, louder than feeling-based conversation. So I touch upon a bit of the activities, innovation, what we've done. So a saying says, if we can't express what we know in the form of numbers, we really don't know much about it. If we don't know much about it, we can't control it. If we can't control it, we are really at the mercy of chance. If something is happening without we knowing what exactly is the data or the trend analysis, it's just happening by the mercy of chance. So getting into the cost down result analysis of the 2 years, this is how the overall cost down what we have achieved. In last 2 years, the OPEX expenses has come down to 23%. 30% of cost has been down from the OPEX side in terms of the revenue. So this is how the 35% EBITDA improvement contribution has been done by the cost down. And this is how from this is not the 2-year performance, this is all 5 years. If you see the red line and blue line, every year the cost down target has been exceeded by good margin. So in 5 years, $11 million overall cost down. So there is a theme which is coming up now as a part of a Make in India. We started around 5 years back. And if we see that this chart is actually showing that what is the total buying import versus local. We used to import 67% of our total capex equipment, and which is now just 3%. 97% of the localization what we have been able to achieve in the last 5 years. And every year what we do is the procurement team ROI in days. This is how the ROI happens. So if you see the 2.79 days of the ROI of the entire procurement team, which is creating a new benchmark of the productivity. So if we see before, as I explained earlier, it was 7% of the spend management. What has happened after this centralized center-led model implementation? We have been able to manage now 92% of the spend management, which is pretty large. The balance 8% is actually the tax and duties, which is more of an accounting purpose. Out of this 92%, major portion also contributes to human resource. Because I head the human resource team also, so that doesn't belong to the procurement team. But overall, we manage around 92% of the spend management. And all kind of spend, whether it's a network equipment, infrastructure buying, IT, hardware, software, bandwidth buying, customer care operation, facility, real estate, energy, telecom, market communication, audit consulting, salary, wages, everything. How about the material and inventory management? I think that is what supply chain is all about. If you see overall, we have reduced the area. Even you see that 30% CAGR, the revenue is growing. Still, the warehousing area has been reduced. Average unit costing has been reduced, and overall warehousing costing has been reduced. Also, there is a myth which says that if you increase the number of transportation in terms of number of deliveries, your transportation cost increase. But with the milk run model and the different partial load and surface and train courier model, we have actually reduced the transportation costing also, along with the warehousing costing. This is something which is pretty interesting. It's called inventory turns. So if you see, the 4.3 inventory turns has been multifold and 6 times fold to 23 inventory turns, which is actually, if you see the global benchmarking, McDonald's has around 142 inventory turns, Apple has around 74, Dell has 35, Samsung is around 17. So this is what the model what we have worked out. From 85 days of inventory, now we manage end-to-end inventory as just 15 days. And this is how the number of stocks what we handle in the warehouse, and every stock handling we use to monitor on a Six Sigma level. So this is how we migrated from 3 Sigma level to a 6 Sigma level. This is how the audit which has been done by the outside agencies, the third party audit. And third party audit, if you see, this is a very, very simple KPI for all supply chain professional. It's like, what is my variance in terms of the stock, in terms of physical counting at my different location, and what is available in the books. So this, if you see, 4.19, 5.08 crore was the discrepancy has come down to 0. From last 2 audits, we are not finding any discrepancy across warehousing. This is for the supply. The earlier data was for the warehousing. This is for the ISP, which is my channel partners. It has also come down from 81 lakhs to now around 3.9 lakhs. Okay, this is one more KPI which we monitor, which is basically attract turnaround time. So it has come down from 4.4 to 5 hours of the track turnaround to less than 20 minutes. This is how we maintain our team and retention of the lean team members. So if we see from last 6 years in procurement supply chain, the core team is still with us and we have got 0 attrition. Nobody has left the organization. Okay, this is how we talk about the procurement as well as supply chain brand index, that we monitor that how the supply chain function is getting into a brand and how the involvement of the organizational strategies of the supply chain team. So if you see what used to happen, the C2C cycle before lean supply chain was 4 to 5 months. Today we are actually positive cash to cash cycle, which is like we get money because the term with the suppliers have been shifted to 30 days standard, and because we have 15 days inventory, so that means end to end. So we get around 15 days positive cash to cash cycle. So because of all these, what the organization has got the benefit, Tikona has achieved the EBITDA break-even in just 4.5 years. This is the fastest in Indian telecom industry. It has been reported in multiple news channels. So this was the news in October. November 14th is the news. November 2014, last year, we have achieved the EBITDA break-even. And now if you see the initial chart when we was saying that revenue should grow and cost should come down. So this graph is giving the actual data as per the P&L. I'm not sharing the actual figure, but I'm sharing as a part of a percentage. So what is happening that this is how the revenue is increased by 63%. The cost has also come down by 38%. So this is what we talk about the power of lean. That even the revenue is increasing, but the cost is getting decreasing. So 38% cost down has been resulted into the Tikona achieving the EBITDA break-even. Of course, along with the 63% revenue increase. So after doing all these activities, few motivations, we thought we'll try to see that how the industry is taking about all these activities as a part of the case study. So the first, I think, thing what we got is we got a letter from ISM-INDIA that they wanted to put a case study of Tikona lean supply chain. This is what the letter is from the ISM-INDIA. Post that he started participating in different, in various award ceremonies. this is what one of the Global Procurement Leadership Award, which happened in 2012. We participated, and Tikona has been nominated in excellence category. So if you see all these companies like Delphi, GSK, Goodyear, Novartis, P&G, Siemens, and then Tikona Digital Network, Unilever, and all these are global companies like Global Delphi, Global Unilever, not Indian Unilever. So even the nomination was pretty large, pretty big thing. I've been personally gone there. It was such a wonderful event. You can just go and check Procurement Leaders London Awards. It's like an Oscar actually. Okay, so what has happened? I went there with a hope that we will get the award, but we didn't got. So Unilever won the award, and the next day it gave us another reason to dream again. I have posted on my Facebook and LinkedIn that failure is the first step of success, and we just took that step. Congrats to Unilever to win Excellence Award at Global Procurement Leadership 2013, and giving us a reason for another dream. What we started doing is dreaming it again and again. And next year, in the Asia Pacific Global Procurement Leadership Award, Asian Procurement Leadership Award, we got 2 awards out of 8 category: Innovation in Procurement and Best Procurement Team. Same award ceremony the next year in 2014, we got Excellence in Procurement, which we got nomination in London. This is the award we got in Singapore. We didn't stop ourselves, and we have actually got around 68 awards in last 3 years. Procurement 31, Supply Chain 23, HR and India 14. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is all about, and hence this journey of the lead supply chain is getting continued. Uh, I'm so thankful for ISM for giving me such a wonderful opportunity, and I'm open for any question if you wish to. I'm available on LinkedIn. You can search me as a